The fool thinks peace comes by controlling the mind. The fool thinks peace comes by controlling the mind. He will never attain it. The wise one knows truth and is stillness itself. The fool thinks peace comes by controlling the mind. He will never attain it. The wise one knows truth and it is stillness itself. Don't try to control the mind. Don't try to change the quality of the mind also. Let the mind come and go. If you are the space in this room, are you concerned about what is the kind of visitors you're getting? If you are the space in this room, the space has no opinion on the quality of its visitors. You are that space which is beyond this space. You are untouched by any of this play of the mind. Just let it come and go. Trying to change the mind is another trick of the mind. It might have its place in some other spiritual paths, but on this direct path, I find that the simplest approach is just to let it come and let it go. Don't try to control it. If I ask you, can you predict what your next thought is going to be? Some have even said yes. When I've asked this question, can you create your next thought? Can you predict what your next thought will be? You see, we've been conditioned to believe that it is yes. But what do? You wait for the thought to come and then you report on it, isn't it? So the thoughts are just coming and going. And if you are attached to the idea that my thoughts have to become pure, my thoughts have to become something, I have to control my mind, then when it comes, you see, it says, hello, I'm still here, impure thought, impure thought. Then what will you believe about yourself? That you're still not free, you're still caught up in this cycle of birth and death. So whatever the thoughts might be, let them come and go. The fool thinks peace comes by controlling the mind. He will never attain it. You see, because still attached to outcome, still attached to wanting this play to be a certain way. When we leave this entire play to be exactly as it is, including the play of the body-mind, and find that your true position is that which is aware of all of this, yet unconcerned by it, then the wise one knows the truth and is stillness itself. Then the thoughts don't disturb you. For he who thinks knowledge is things and ideas, how can there be self-knowledge? The wise do not see separate things, only the timeless self. He who thinks knowledge is things and ideas, how can there be self-knowledge? The wise do not see separate things, only the timeless self. What does it mean, things and ideas? If you look around, you will see how the mind comes in and tries to label everything. Computer, person, sofa, cushion. So it makes things out of this one appearance. This is a thing, this is a thing, this is so much. Separation. But actually your experience is of one appearance. You're only experiencing this one appearance. The idea of separation comes from the labels, comes from our interpretation. This is what I call the bad photocopy of our experience which the mind offers up. Things. So you think that you know something in the external world as an objective knowing, then ideas. We can feel like we know something on the basis of what idea we have. I know what freedom is because I've read 10 concepts about freedom. Is it? We can feel like having the most or the best sounding concepts will give us some true knowledge. So everybody is looking for the best concept. What is the greatest concept? It has become very popular to say now that I am awareness can be a favorite concept. But now some are going even beyond. Even awareness, I am beyond. You think, what? Just talking, just noise. Just mental, conceptual illusions of some sort of knowledge. As I said the other day, awareness is confirming itself even in its denial. It's confirming itself even in its denial. We say, yes, there is no awareness. What we are actually meaning is, I am aware that there is no awareness. So we feel like we know something through the concepts that we have. And you can't really blame anyone for that because that is how we have been conditioned. You can feel like we were conditioned first with 2 plus 2 equals 4. That was a lower concept. Then you learned a higher concept, multiplication 2 into 2 is equal to 4. And you learn division, all these higher and higher concepts. In every field of learning, you go from lower to higher concepts. First, you learn, if you're studying medicine, you learn about the body and all the organs in the body. Then you zero in on the deeper concept, the higher concept. Oh, how does the kidney function? How does the stomach function? How does the heart function? Then you zero in even further, go to the higher concept of all of these things. So we've been taught this way that we must go to the higher and higher concept of things. But here it is the opposite. You drop all your ideas about everything, especially about yourself. So he who thinks knowledge is things and ideas, how can there be self-knowledge? Is there a greater knowingness itself than this perceptual or conceptual knowing? What is aware of your existence? What knows your present? The wise do not see separate things, only the timeless self. The fool tries to control the mind with the mind. The fool tries to control the mind with the mind. What folly! The wise one delights in self alone. There is no mind to master. What is the mind? We also use the word mind very often. Bhagavan said, the mind is a bundle of thoughts. Simplest. There are many definitions of mind, but a very, very specific way to look at the mind is this, just a bundle of thoughts. Therefore, it is not a constant. When there is a thought, we say there is mind. When we are empty of thoughts, the Zen Buddhists would call it no mind. Now, for the self, either mind or no mind makes no difference. The wise one delights in self alone. There is no mind to master. Some believe in existence, others believe nothing exists. Rare is the one who believes nothing and is never confused. Some believe in existence, others believe nothing exists. There is a deep message in this where there are many, many schools of thought about where even existence comes from or what is existence. Is there something like existence? And all these ontological arguments, all of these things are dependent on that. Is there existence at all? Or actually, simply put, what is there? Now, I think some can believe that there is, some believe there is nothing, there is no existence, it's just a void. Actually, blessed are those who believe nothing and yet are never confused. The last part is important, isn't it? Never confused. Because you also meet many who are really fickle with their beliefs. So we're not talking about those as called fickle-minded, just switching their beliefs based on whichever room they're in, because they're really not clear. They just want to fit in some way or something like this. So we're not talking about these confused ones. We're talking about that which is empty of belief, and yet he or she is never confused. Why never confused? Because they don't need to rely on the crutches of beliefs. They have their own insight, which is present, which is undeniable. All concepts might fail us, but your truest insights cannot fail you. Weak intellectuals may believe the self is one without other, but being mired in illusion, they do not actually know self, so live out their lives in misery. So if it's just an intellectual belief, that's why we started today's satsang by saying just the idea I am the self, and to believe that is not enough. It must be your intuitive insight. And this intuitive insight is completely possible using the tools of inquiry, the clues that are present in these beautiful scriptures. Just the belief will not do now. Just the concept I am that will not do. It must translate into your seeing, the pure seeing. Many times I've said that it is to come from our conceptual knowledge to I don't know, which seems to be the longer journey. This fear of admitting that we don't know, and finally coming to that point of surrendering and saying, I just don't know. That seems to be the longer part of the journey. From I don't know to this clarity of inner insight is very, very easy, very simple. From I know something to the capital K knowing will be the most torturous journey. If we are open, if we are empty, then the recognition is just here. If the inner intuitive presence has to fight constantly with the voice of limitation, with your mind, then it can seem like a journey with great struggle. And consciousness can decide to play in either way. But just as it is pointing these things out to itself, some clarification can happen. Weak intellectuals may believe the self is one without other, but being mired in illusion, they actually do not know self, so live out their lives in misery. That's why I spoke about suffering the other day and why in Advaita Vedanta we keep speaking about Satsang, about suffering. Those who have come to the truth have let go of the idea of the individual sufferer. When the rubber hits the road, then we see what is our true insight. Many have reported this, isn't it? It's something, this was happening in my life. I was fighting with my partner, and all this ideas about I am awareness and I am consciousness, unlimited being, all this went out the window first thing. So, as long as this deepens, is digested as a simple knowing, as a simple knowingness, if it is only conceptual, then this idea of the individual sufferer can continue. In fact, it might even become worse because the conflict might even seem deeper. If there are two beliefs in you, both having equal position, that I am the self, I am awareness untouched by this play of the world, and I am a person which is completely involved in doing this, has desires, is the doer, true separation actually took place. You see, then it can seem like there's even more struggle. You see, this inner conflict between these two beliefs will seem to crush us more and more. You see? Sometimes better if you have to have a concept, then pick up the simpler worldly concept. Unless you are using these pointers as reminders for your own checking, for your own inquiry, for your own insight, then just please leave them. It's better.